Hi, welcome. My name is Andrea Gill. I'm the programs coordinator at the Laundromat project, and I am joined today by my colleague.
Hi, everyone. My name is Silvia Chicotencas. I'm the community engagement manager here at the LP, and I'm happy that you are all looking to apply to this fund.
First, we would like to begin with a land acknowledgement. We at the Laundromat project respectfully acknowledge that our primary location of operations at 1476 Fulton Street in Brooklyn, New York, sits on the occupied and unceded lands of the Canarsie, who are part of the Munsee Lenape. We recognize them as the original stewards of this land and pay respects to their elders, past, present, and future. I invite you to join me in acknowledging the histories of the land where you are currently gathered and pay respects and gratitude to its original stewards. This is a video tutorial for the Bedside Create and Connect Fund, and throughout this video, we'll be walking you through a presentation with slides that we will also be describing for you. The slides use blue and white graphics and waves, which the LP uses as our graphic identity and as a motif that will be used throughout the slides. This slide also includes an illustration of people hanging out on a stoop, an image which demonstrates the importance of community connecting and building that we would like to catalyze through this fund. The presentation slides are also available on our website.
Great. Hi, everyone again. And so for today's session, we'll be sharing a little bit more about the LP, which we refer to as the Laundromat Project, and going through an overview of the fund, as well as walking you all through the eligibility timeline and how to apply. And we'll also be sharing the application and walking through some of the questions with you all. And sharing a little bit more about what we're looking to learn from the applications. And at the end, we'll share ways that you can remain connected and reach out to us here at the LP in case you need any support with filling out your applications or have any additional questions for us. But before we do that, I would love to introduce, the Laundromat Project. We are an arts organization, and our main mission is to advance artists and neighbors as change agents within their own communities. And we're really happy to be supporting this artist opportunity, or just this micro grant fund, because I believe that this is one of the ways that we actually achieve our mission. And, from our past experience, we've been able to support really great initiatives and projects. So really looking forward to this year's iteration. And then just a little bit more on the history of the Laundromat Project. What you're viewing on the screen is actually a Black and white image of people making art outside of a laundromat alongside text. And so we're pulling up this image because this is where, and this is how the Laundromat Project was founded, with the intention of meeting people where they are and creating unexpected spaces for people to engage in art and feel empowered through art. And most importantly, the Laundromat Project was actually founded in Bed-Stuy in 2005. And so we're really honored to be back in the neighborhood and to be supporting artists and creatives alike through an initiative like this. Our organization is Black rooted and people of color centered. Again, we're an arts organization and we provide training and resources to artists and activists through things like this microgrant fund, but also a series of fellowship programs and residencies throughout the year. And of course, you can log into our website to learn a little bit more. But overall, we support public art projects that tackle issues, some like food injustice, gentrification, climate change, and community safety. But we really encompass just a lot of, we like to support art that encompasses a lot of social issues, not just limited to that. Of course, with the core of these programs and projects being to engage people and to center community building. And then on the screen, you'll also see an image of our new office space, our community hub, which is at 1476 Fulton Street in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. And we have a series of programs happening this summer. I encourage you to stop by and say hello.
Thank you.
So then I'll pass it off to my colleague, Andrea.
Thank you. So let's jump into the Bedside Create and Connect Fund and get into the what, why, and how. On this slide is the illustration of people hanging out and gathering on a stoop that described at the beginning of the presentation. The Bedside Create and Connect Fund is a community microgrant fund for creative initiatives and projects that are rooted in community, foster connections, and ignite conversations and/or collaborations. The purpose of the fund is to support or seed the creative ideas of civic actions for artists, cultural practitioners, community builders, organizers, and makers in Bedside. The fund will provide 25 projects of proposal with $1,000 each. So let's jump into eligibility. Now we'll talk a bit about eligibility. On this slide, we've listed who is eligible to apply for the fund and what kind of projects are considered eligible. Let's start with who. Bedside Create and Connect Fund is open to self-organized groups or collectives, meaning informal groups. So this could include sewing clubs or writers groups, for example. It's also open to formally organized groups like block associations or tenant associations. Individuals are also eligible to apply as long as they're 18 years and older, and they live and work or committed to and invested in the Bedside community. You don't have to live in Bedside to apply, but the project does have to have an impact in Bedside and engage the Bedside resident. What projects are eligible to get funded? Proposals must be responsive to or centered within Bedside neighborhood and communities. This is hyperlocal fund that values the legacies embedded in place, which means that being responsive to and impacting Bedside and Bedside residents is really important. Proposals must also focus on community building, community recovery, and collective wellness within Bedside. When we say collective and community wellness, collective recovery is a way for communities to heal from trauma. Trauma is defined as an emotional shock following a stressful event. We just mean that the LP is interested in funding projects that contribute to people making connections to others and their communities. By community building, we mean projects that impact or engage a group, audience, community, instead of a singular person, and can look like a collaboration, relationship building, or fostering connections among a group of people. Applicants can apply to engage any community of their choice, whether it's specifically school-aged children or the tenants in their buildings. Communities come in all shapes and sizes and can be based on place and geography or affinity, like queer community in Bedside or the folk arts community. Lastly, proposals must incorporate elements of art or creativity.
And how do we define art? So at the Laundromat Project, we define art as visual, media, literary, and performing arts, curation, scholarship, or education, healing, community organizing, or cultural traditions, productions, and practices. And by all means, you do not have to consider yourself an artist to apply. You can be a community organizer, you can be a chef, you could be someone that is active at a community garden, or you could also be, someone that is representing a collective of people or group of people that are in one of these mediums. And to learn a little bit more about other ways that we define art, you can also go to our website where we have an exhaustive list of what kinds of arts we're excited to support. But of course, please feel encouraged to apply, even if you don't consider yourself an artist. If you have, if you are creative at mind and heart, and is what your proposal is engaging people around, then please feel free to apply. So for ineligible projects, Andrea just went through what is eligible. And of course, because community building is at the heart of what this fund intends to support, we're not looking to support solo productions of artworks that are made for personal practice or proposals that have little to no engagement or impact with additional stakeholders or a broader community. And projects and events and activities that require an admission or participation fee. I will say that although we are not supporting projects that require an admission fee, if it is that your project is involved in some sort of business model, then we might be we will be able to support portions of whatever business model that is free for participants. And all of this, of course, just we want to make sure that we are supporting projects that are fully accessible to people and open to a general public. And then in terms of prioritization, I'll pass it off to my colleague, Andrea.
Yeah, so now I'll walk you through the ways we will prioritize applications. The current slide has an image of our new space with text on the side that goes into our considerations. We see the allocation of this fund as a way to help counter structural and systemic injustice in Bed-Stuy, which means that we will prioritize applications from born and or raised in Bed-Stuy, generational Bed-Stuy residents, and residents who have lived in Bed-Stuy for more than 10 years. Individuals who identify as Black, Indigenous, Native, or people of color. Individuals with disability within the disability community, including immunocompromised individuals and individuals that identify as LGBTQIA+.
And the timeline to submit your application, of course, you can log into our website and click our Bed-Stuy Create and Connect Fund. You'll also see other artist opportunities. We also encourage you to look into that, but definitely encourage you to read the headers and definitely apply specifically for the Bed-Stuy Create and Connect Fund. So our applications have opened and they will be running throughout September. And then our staff will be reviewing applications at the end of each month. So you may receive notifications if you've been selected via award at the beginning of each month following your submission. And so then I'll jump through an application review and I'll be sharing my screen with what the application actually looks like. So once you log into, once you visit our website and click on the Bed-Stuy Create and Connect Fund and click the link to apply, you'll be led to the submittable website where you can log in, create a profile if you don't have one already. And then on the page, the application itself, again, you'll learn a little bit more about what this application is for and who the Laundromat project is. Again, reiterate the cycle and when it's open, important dates to keep in mind. Of course, some of the guidelines, some of which we've already been through on this presentation, but it's a more exhaustive list, as well as our selection criteria and of course, eligibility. And then towards the second portion of the application, we'll go through, we want to learn a little bit more about you as an applicant, and if you're applying for someone else, not just you, but a group of people, this is a portion where we get to learn a little bit more about who they are, or who you are. Of course, and if selected, we would love to share a little bit more about your project. So we're also asking if you have any shareable websites or social media handles so that we can share out, more about your work. We would love to gather that here. Also, because this is only the second iteration of this program, would also love to hear how you learned about this opportunity. We're always looking to improve on our outreach, so please let us know. And then obviously just learning a little bit more about you and your connection to Bed-Stuy. Again, even if you're applying for somebody else or another group, what is the connection of this proposal to the actual neighborhood or community in Bed-Stuy? The third portion of this application then just goes into the proposal itself. So the project that you want to receive funds for, you can tell us about what it is and how you'll be using some of these funds. And I'll mention here, we don't keep an exhaustive eye to how you're spending this, nor do we ask for receipts, but this definitely gives us a better idea of how the funds will be allocated. And then obviously the ways that this fund will impact the communities or the audiences that you want to work with. And then also an opportunity for us to learn if you have any collaborators and what their role is and how this project is responsive to this audience of impact. And then there's also space in case, there are portions or just questions that we haven't asked. There's an opportunity for you to share a little bit more about the project itself. So it's an open space for you to share out any other information that you think would be helpful for the selection committee to review and just be aware of for this project. And then lastly, the last part of this application just goes through a little bit about demographics and getting to know a little bit more or deeper about yourself or the group that you intend to apply for. And of course, just, again, wanting to know a little bit more about yourself at the end. And then, although we've gone through this application right now live with you, please do know that you can also reach out to us at community@Laundromat Project, and we're very happy to spend, half an hour, 15 minutes with you to go over your application. If you have any questions around any of the questions that we have for you, we're happy to spend some time with you to sort of walk through it and give you some feedback or an ear. Um, so that is the application, and again, everything is online, and you can also use this orientation to help guide your application process. So then I'll be returning back to our slide and passing it off to Andrea to share a little bit more about what we're looking for.
Thank you, Siavel. And now I'll walk you through the current slide that shares some of the key things that we're looking for in applications. In terms of feasibility, we're looking for projects that can happen within this year. We appreciate applications that are clear and easily understood, and applications with a clear target audience. And because this is a bedside create and connect fund, we're looking for support projects and enhance neighborhood connections and relationship buildings. We will also appreciate projects that are responsive to the local and cultural community of Bedside. So applying with a project that tries to document the life of sailors in California might not be culturally or geographically aligned. A plus would be if the proposed project contributes or explores community wellness, but this is not necessarily required. You're also free to interpret community wellness as you wish. And lastly, we're looking for projects that are intentional and have thoughtful community engagement.
And so we'll also walk through some of the questions that were asked of us last year's cycle, and thought it would be helpful to bring them back up in case they pop up again. So if I was not selected, can I resubmit my application? Of course, even if you applied last cycle and didn't get in, ideas can change and they can morph. And of course, just know that it is a rolling basis. So yeah, so we'll begin notifying people in July and throughout August. Another question is, for the proposed project/event in the application, is there a minimum number of participants that are required to participate? So no, we do not require a minimum number of participants. But of course, I think the bottom line is that this is a free and accessible event for people to as much as possible. And of course, we know that 100 or 10 people or 5 people gathered is powerful enough, but we do not keep an eye on or have a metric around participation numbers. And then, is the Laundromat project open to funding a program that has also received funding from other grants? Of course, yes, we're always happy to meet people additionally with additional support. Of course, that's not something that we would ever deny. If anything, we're very much happy to to be able to support you a little bit more along the way. And then, is the detailed budget required? So no, we actually don't request that you submit a budget, although it is helpful for us to get a sense of where the support will be going to. And of course, this might be something that our selection committee reviews and takes into account. But no, essentially, we don't really keep tabs on the ways that this money will be spent. And of course, if you want to share receipts, feel free to. But again, this is also something that we're not necessarily requiring you to. And then another question is, once selected for the Create and Connect Fund, how long will it take to receive the funds? So we're estimating that it'll take approximately a month after receiving the funds. So, just want to encourage people, if the open call is open now and you have an event happening in August, just feel free to apply as soon as possible so that we can ensure that these funds get to you in a timely manner. And of course, if you applied last year and was funded with the Create and Connect Fund, if you can reapply, yes, of course, we'd be happy to support you again this year.
And lastly, in this slide, there's an image of community members embracing in front of an artist installation. And we would like to let you all know, if you have any further questions, please contact us at community@laundromatproject.org, or give us a call at 718-574-0798. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you all. We're very, very excited to be able to have this opportunity again, to be able to extend this to the neighborhood. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to just reach out to us, and we look forward to reading you. Bye, y'all.
Bye.